shows we discussed this week, and Natalie's going to start out.
Yes, so today I'm going to talk about Super Why. And that's one that Cora hasn't really paid much attention to lately, but she did for a good while. All she wanted to watch was Super Why.
Yes, for sure.
So Super Why is quite educational. It's about reading, rhyming, letters, the alphabet, like all that sort of stuff. But I have a problem with the logistics of it.
Okay, let's talk about the logistics of Super Why.
So Super Why is, his name is Wyatt Beanstalk.
Right.
And so everything in his little universe comes down to stories or fairy tales or something like that.
Sure.
So the Beanstalk name isn't, a big deal in his universe. But he turns into Super Why when he sees one of his friends having a problem.
Okay.
Now, their group is called the Super Story Answers with Super Why. Superheroes. They're the superheroes to the rescue is their thing. And it's Wyatt, who is Super Why. It's Alpha Pig, who does the alphabet.
Okay.
It's Little Red. She's on rollerblades. She says, does she say Little Red? Rolling in. She says, Little Red, rolling in. So so Alpha Pig's supposed to be one of the three little pigs.
Okay.
Red is supposed to be, Little Red Riding Hood. And it's Super Why, and then Princess P.
Right.
Princess P is also in, and she does spelling. So with their powers combined, they figure out the answer for their friend or colleague or whatever who's having a problem.
Right.
And they say, when we have a problem, we look in a book.
In a book.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes. So they look in a book and they read a story that is similar to their problem. So they'll go in and they'll read about the big bad wolf. Or they'll read about, what's the one that I'm thinking of? Maybe it's the big bad wolf I'm thinking of.
Right.
There are other stories,
but
for some reason,
bad guy in most children's shows.
Yes.
Or shows, but stories.
Yes. So we'll take the big bad wolf, for example. So I believe Alpha Pig is trying to build a tower, and Jill, who is of Jack and Jill,
right,
is keeps knocking it down. And so they're like, so Alpha Pig is like, superheroes, I need your help. And they're like, unite. And they get together and they go, what's your problem? And he says, well, Jill keeps knocking down my towers. And they say, well, if we have a problem, we look in a book. So they go into the big bad wolf, the three little pigs. Mm-hmm. They go into that story and they find out that also the big bad wolf was knocking down something that other people had created. The thing about it is that if we were to read the fairy tale as it's supposed to be, there is no resolution. It's just the big bad wolf is a big bad wolf. Mm-hmm. And the pigs outsmart him, basically.
Right.
They set him on fire and he runs away. It's kind of a terrible story. Yeah. I mean, it's about building your house out of bricks. Blah, 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 blah.
Right. It's kind of the wise man
builds
his house firmly, yeah.
But the thing that, okay, so you're like, Princess P does stuff with spelling.
Okay.
Alpha Pig does stuff with the alphabet.
Yep.
And Little Red does stuff with, let's see, she does some rhyming stuff, but I think her thing is word power.
Right. Yes.
Like she does stuff with words, but she does a lot of rhyming things too. So you're learning all of these skills throughout the episode. So, Super Y, what is his power? Let me tell you what his power is. His power is the power to read.
Yeah.
None of the other ones apparently can read.
Nope.
They just know words and they know letters and they know how to rhyme words, but they can't read or anything like that. But his thing is, with the power to read, I will change the story.
Yeah. This is my least favorite thing about him, too.
And find the solution, basically. Okay. When we're reading a book in real life, you and I.
Right, as grown-ups.
As grown-ups. When we're reading and we're like, I didn't like the end of that story. With the power to read, I will change the story.
Obviously.
Because when you can read, obviously that makes you now an editor.
Right.
Of some sort of publishing company.
Yeah, you're suddenly in charge of the stories.
So in the Big Bad Wolf thing, they basically make the Big Bad Wolf into the Big Nice Wolf.
Right.
Because bad and nice are opposites, which we learn about.
Don't they first make him into the Small Nice Wolf?
They do. I wasn't going to go into all of that,
okay.
But yes, they make him into first the Small Bad Wolf. And they're like, that wasn't it. And then they make him into...
we missed on that one.
Right. And then they make him to the Small Nice Wolf. Oh, he's nice, but he's small. Mm-hmm. So they make him into the Big Nice Wolf. Oh, perfect. With the power to read, we have changed this folk tale, this fairy tale that has been handed down through generations.
Right.
We have changed that with the power to read.
Yep. Now that we can read, we can change this.
Exactly. Into the Big Nice Wolf. And they end up just going, Big Nice Wolf, excuse me, you're knocking down these pigs' things. Like, please stop.
What's up with that?
And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they solve the problem, which the problem was just talk to your friend and tell her that you don't want her to knock down your things.
Yeah.
That was the whole solution to the problem. But they figured it out by the power to read is changing
AKA,
the story.
Just, if you don't like it, change it.
Exactly. And there are many, many different instances. And I'm trying to remember the one that, for some reason, I can't think of the other story that I wanted to talk about. But later on, they do Woofster.
Oh, yeah.
He is
That's the dog, right?
Yes. He is in later seasons. Mm-hmm. And let me look real fast. He's in later seasons. And he is... Oh, his special ability is dictionary power.
Yeah.
But his power is kind of like... Also, he says... like the power of imagination, too. Like, it's dictionary power, and the power of imagination is what Woofster becomes. And he's a dog. So anyway, I like the skills that Super Y brings to the table.
Yeah, I was going to say, it definitely does a good job of doing some pre-reading learning skills.
Yeah, they do alphabet, they do rhyming, they do words, they do spelling.
Yeah. And
all of that is really great. But then when they get down to, hey, what do we need to solve this problem? Well, here's what we need. You need to be able to read so that you can change the story.
Right, obviously.
Right.
And then my favorite thing and by favorite I mean sort of the thing that puzzles me about Super Y, the show, is, two things. One is that the viewer is part of the superheroes also.
Yes, and he says, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say that and I forgot about it. He says, so Princess P with spelling power and Red Riding Hood rolling in and Alpha Pig with alphabet power and Super Y with the power to read. And then they say, and Super U with the power to help.
You kids out there, you can help.
You can assist us.
Which this is where me thinking about this far too much comes in, because then I start thinking about so all of these, in theory, all of these characters are superheroes with these specialties.
Yes.
But none of them is actually able to do that thing. So like they always get started and they're like Alpha Pig, let's do the alphabet. And then there always comes a point where it's like, hey, can you help me do this?
Can you help? What's the next letter?
And it's not.
Can you help me with my superpower? I don't know the alphabet.
Yeah, they frame it like, not like, hey, you do this with me. It's like, I'm going to need some help remembering what comes after R.
Right. Right.
So then my other favorite thing about Super Y is, and this is maybe a quibbly thing, but that's what the show's kind of about.
Hey, welcome to Not Suitable for Adults,
That's
where
what
we
we're
quibble.
doing. The other thing is why. So I feel like Wyatt's superhero name is Super Y only because his name is Wyatt. Like his power is the power to read, but his like insignia is a question mark, and his name is Super Y.
Yeah, I mean, they say Super Y because they're figuring out the answer to a question, right? So they're like, why is this happening?
So if it was Team Super Y.
Yes, they are the Super Readers.
Right.
Is the name of their team.
Right.
But I mean, he's Super Y, I guess, because he's Wyatt.
Right.
But his power is the power to read.
Right.
So that he can change the story. Because if you can read, you can change what you're reading.
That's right. So that's Super Y.
That's Super Y. Again, great pre-reading learning.
But if you sit and watch it for long periods of time, like we have done, and it's been a while since we sat down and watched it.
Yeah.
But if you're like us, you start picking it apart. You just can't help it.
Yep. That's it.
All right.
Super Y.
So we'll do a little transition here. Boop-a-doop-a-doo-doo-doo.
Boop-a-doo-boo-boo.
That's our transition music. To our question of the day.
Yes.
And this is sort of a different one. We've done sort of easy, off the top of our head kind of questions. And this one was a little bit more of a thinker. And there's probably a lot more answers out there that we won't have thought of.
Oh, for sure.
So especially this week, if you're listening to this, you're probably going to think of one that we didn't think of. And that's great. So let us know about that.
Yeah, if you do, let us know, because we would love to talk about it next week if you have one that we deem worthy.
and I think a lot of them will be, because this is kind of an interesting one and a funny one. Mm-hmm. So what the question is this week, or what we're trying to think of, is the best moment for adults in a kids movie. So if you've watched children's programming or movies, you've seen this happen where the writers sort of sneak in a little joke, and that one's for the parents. Mm-hmm. And so we sort of went back in our brains. We thought about the movies we've seen, and also did some Google searches.
Yeah, very minor Google searches. We don't just go like, oh, what's our question? Let's find an answer on Google.
Right.
Yeah.
But this one was a little bit of a...
Yeah, we had to
have to dig more.
We had to dig a little bit more into our memory banks.
And so Natalie's going to give her first answer.
Yes. My answer... So the first thing that came to my mind, just straight up, was anything in Shrek.
Right.
Yeah, anything in Shrek was some sort of innuendo, I felt like. But when you're saying the best or the one that kind of stood out to me, we're going to go back a little bit to last week's question where you said your favorite Pixar movie was Incredibles.
Yes.
And I'm going to say when Syndrome captures them, the whole family, he says, Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, you guys got married? And then he looks at the kids and he says, and you got busy! and and kids aren't going to really understand what that means.
Right.
Like, they have 3 kids, and Syndrome's like, and you did it!
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I've always thought that was pretty funny because that's the first time that he's realizing that they're a family.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's his reaction. You got busy!
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I do like that moment a lot. And it's funny because that's a funny one because of what we talked about with him, like, because he's such a super fan.
Right.
And kind of deep down, he knows all the backgrounds,
right.
all the lore.
He's so hardcore super fanning that he's going, it's Mr. Incredible, it's Elastigirl,
I can't believe
and
it.
they had kids!
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's a good moment.
I like that one.
Good answer.
Thanks.
I like that a lot. And it
I have
appeals to me
another
because
one-
that's one of my favorite movies.
I have another one in my brain if it's not the one that I think is funny, if it's not the one that you say next.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's mine. And I'm glad you kind of went with, you said like best, but then also the one that stuck out to you the most.
Yeah.
Because the one that I'm going with is also one that kind of just sticks out to me.
Yeah.
It's hard to actually say best because some of these are kind of lewd jokes.
Right.
And so...
But best in that, like, thank you, writers, for throwing out kind of a thing for the adults.
Right. And so, but here's mine. And this one is kind of, it's more than a little suggestive. In the movie, The Road to El Dorado.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Because this is a controversy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
In the movie The Road to El Dorado, Miguel and Tulio, our protagonists, find their way to the City of Gold, and they meet this young woman, Chell, and they both sort of have a thing for Chell, and there's a little competition between the boys, and she ends up going for Tulio. And there's a scene where she sort of like gets him to start kissing her a little bit, and then it like goes away. And
well,
then,
they like fall behind a couch.
right. And so
Yes.
Miguel comes back, and there's this moment where they get up and they are basically getting redressed.
Yeah.
And there's also sort of like, this is not something I thought about. This was one I was thinking of, but I went to do a search, and I had never noticed this before.
Her positioning.
Yeah, where she is. So if you watch.
Yes.
If you watch the actual scene, where she gets up from is not his face.
No, it's on the lower portion
It's
of
down
his
below.
body. Yes. And he's very disheveled looking,
Yeah.
and she's not as disheveled looking.
Right.
But he's disheveled looking, and she pops up quite a bit lower.
A little further south.
Yes.
Which I honestly, until I saw that on like a list of adult moments in movies, I had never really noticed before. Which maybe that's because I saw that movie as a kid. Like I still
Did
had
you
blinders
watch
on.
the scene again just to see it?
Yeah,
or?
there was like a GIF of it. So
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, yeah, obviously that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's a good movie though. Road to El Dorado.
I was never a fan of Road to El Dorado.
It's kind of throughout. It's a little bit more of a grown-up kids movie. It's like more
I was
of
probably not allowed to watch it.
probably. It's more of a PG type kids movie.
Yeah.
But there's some really fun moments in that.
Yeah.
In that movie, like when they're playing sort of that high lag soccer game.
Yes.
Is a fun scene. The whole gag of them like having to pretend to be gods.
Yeah.
Is kind of an interesting sort of it's not really like a heist, but it's kind of like a heist what they're doing, like because they have to do
like
all
a
these
grift.
things. Yeah. It's like a long con that they're doing. And they're not good guys. They're not really
No.
good guys, but they're funny.
Yeah.
And that's who I'm trying to remember who are the voices in that?
Don't even ask
Oh
me.
man,
I don't know.
I'm gonna kick myself.
Can I say the one that came in second for me really quickly?
Yeah.
Because I literally just watched, thanks Disney Plus, A Bug's Life.
Oh yeah.
Recently.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ladybug in A Bug's Life is actually this very macho dude. But
Yeah.
he just happens to be a ladybug. And I believe his name is Frank.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. But before, there's some kind of like tough guys in the kind of, I guess, bar scene of the bugs. They're like all in a bottle, but it's like the Bugs Bar or whatever. The kind of tough guys are looking at him like he's a lady because he's a ladybug.
Right.
And one of the guys says, "Hey, you want to pollinate with a real bug?"
Yeah. That's funny.
And he turns around and like blinks his eyelashes like he's kind of more feminine.
Right.
And then comes up to him and like punches him in the face or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
good.
that. And he's like, "I'm a man."
I forget about Bug's Life. That's one of the good. That's a good Pixar movie.
It is a good Pixar movie. Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I have a show.
I'm so excited. You haven't told me anything about this show that you said you were going to tell me about.
Here's what happened. This week, I was like, I should find some new material, like stuff. Not just like, because it's not like, I mean, we've watched a million kid shows, but I was like, there's got to be more stuff out there that we just haven't seen. And so I just went to Netflix, and it just happened to be that the very first thing that came up, like not even in the recommended, but like the big one that comes up,
Yeah.
was this show called Go Go Corey Carson.
Cora's been watching this.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have not paid attention to it though, because it looked safe. So I haven't been paying attention to it.
She's probably been watching it because I watched it.
Oh,
I watched
okay.
like 5 episodes, and so it showed up in our like continue watching.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
So Go Go Corey Carson is an interesting show. And I'm going to kind of break it down from a bunch of different angles because there's some good stuff in it. And there's some stuff that I'm like, come on. One is, I'll start with an come on. The first episode. So
I'll start with an come on.
So I guess to give some context, Go Go Corey Carson is about this young car named Corey Carson. And similar to Chip and Potato, so Chip and Potato is a world of a bunch of similarly sized animals.
Yeah.
In this, it's a world of similarly sized cars. So it's cars and vehicles are
Gotcha.
what populate this world.
So is it like the Pixar movie Cars, where it's like a Cars universe?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's almost a ripoff of Cars.
Yeah.
So here's the come on. The very first episode is Corey wakes up and he goes to kindergarten.
That's how all our lives start.
And I was like, man, that is how so many kids shows start. That's how Chip and Potato starts.
That's how Finding Nemo starts.
It's like, and it's a good like
you wake
kids
up, you go to school.
but it's the very first thing he wakes up and he's in. And then so here's the good part is the animation is really good.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of weirdly good.
Mm-hmm.
So like he wakes up and he's in his bed and his mom's like, "All right, Corey, time to get up." And he like rolls out and there's like a little driveway into his bed, which is kind of cute. And then he goes and he's got a baby sister and she's really cute.
Cute for a car.
Well, yeah, but it's adorable. So each episode is only like 7 or 8 minutes long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like it's very quick. So it's like you get the point, you get the moral of the story, and then that episode's over, and then they do the next one.
Okay.
And so like the first episode is about like going to school and being comfortable around new people and making friends.
Yeah.
It's really funny. He has this thing where he's like, they're like, "What do you say for when you meet a new person?" He goes, "I say, hi, my name's Corey Carson and my favorite color is blue." And so like he first comes in, and this was the thing where I actually had a laugh moment. And so there's actually some legitimate humor in here. Like he gets to school and he comes right in and he's like, all right, here's your new class. And he goes, hi, I'm blue. My favorite color is Corey Carson. And the whole room stops and they all turn and look at him. And he goes, maybe we just need to go to another classroom. Yeah, let's go to another classroom. And it's really funny. But there's like this whole thing. There's one about going and sleeping over at a friend's house and how different people's houses are different.
Yeah.
He goes to sleep over at his friend's house who are like construction equipment. And the way that they sleep is outside. And the way their parents tuck them in is like they dump dirt on them to keep them warm. And he's like, this isn't the way I do. Like, and so
this is very Chip and Potato because
it is.
Because Chip also goes and spends the night with Nico one night, and it's very different. Yeah. And
so it's really good. The show is it's on Netflix. It's produced by VTech, and this was another come on. It's nothing about the show itself. It's just that I was watching it start and it was like Netflix original. Brought to you by so-and-so. Brought to you by VTech. I was like, okay, so they're selling toys. Because that's VTech. VTech makes all those, like, sort of electronic
they make toys. But they also make, I mean, it's also educational, usually.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, this show is primarily aimed at toys.
Just to get you to buy the toys.
I think so. Because it's so cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So the story, like, don't look for, like, brand new... Like it's gonna sound like every show you've ever watched.
Yeah.
But there's some really cute moments. There's an episode I watched like 5 episodes because they were really short, so I just banged through them at like over lunch. There's an episode.
I love the idea that you're sitting in a corporate office.
Yep, sitting in my work, and
you're like, okay, it's lunchtime. Let me now slip on my headphones, turn on my computer. And watch Go-Go Corey Carson.
Yeah. I'll do what I want.
Does anybody walk by your desk and go, hey, dude, what you watching?
Nah, my desk's in a corner.
No. I'm all alone.
What was I about to say? Oh,
sorry.
That's okay. So there's an episode where he has to have a babysitter. And it's a funny moment because he's like, oh, come on, Mom. I'm too big for a babysitter.
Come on, Mom.
And then you hear the music swell and change and he turns around and there's like a ba-da-da-da-da, and like it's this older girl and he like obviously has a crush on her.
Right.
And so the whole episode is him like having a crush on her. And the way he interacts with her is really funny. It's cute. It's like overall, I would say watch some Go-Go Corey Carson.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's very cookie cutter. You can probably only stand a few episodes of it before you're like, all right, we get it.
Right.
But the animation is really good. The voice acting is really good. And there's some funny jokes in there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, man, we're really chucking along really quickly in this one. We're kind of way ahead of schedule.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Was there anything else we need to talk about today?
Maybe
not.
Maybe not. I mean, we could probably come up with something if you wanted to.
No, let's just call it a night.
How many minutes have we gone?
We're at almost 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll just do a quick and easy one. That was pretty good.
Yeah. So just the normal housekeeping stuff then.
Yeah.
As always, thank you for listening to our show. We really appreciate it. We're coming up on 150 downloads.
That I mean, it boggles my mind because that's
not real.
No, why?
And almost 150 Twitter followers.
It doesn't even make any sense to me.
And so we really appreciate it. We'd love to hear your feedback. So if you have not reached out to us with even just a, hey, like your show, or hey, turn your microphones down, or, whatever.
Yeah, we've been getting some feedback that I've been loud and I'm like super self-conscious about it. I'm trying to like stay away from my mic.
We're still figuring things out. We've got a new setup, and so we'll see if this works out.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient with us. But yeah, so if you like the show, follow us on Twitter at Not4AdultsCast. That's NOT, the number 4, AdultsCast. And that's where you can get us just about everywhere. Facebook, Facebook.com/NotForAdultsCast. That's our hashtag. That's our everything.
Yeah,
not
we'd
for
love
adults cast
to-
at Gmail.
We'd love to hear from you, because if there's a show you would like us to watch, we will watch it. If there is a question you would like us to ponder, we will ponder it.
Oh, you better believe it.
We're here for you.
But the most important thing, as always, is, you bought the TV, you bought the remote control. Just don't forget you're the boss.
So you can watch whatever you want.
Okay, bye.
Bye.